What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to another episode of the Dossier, the Marvel Crisis Protocol review show where we talk about Marvel Crisis Protocol characters right down from their design to how it was to paint and assemble them, and then to what they bring on the table. Remember, these are not meant to be comprehensive reviews. These are meant to just kind of give you an overview of the character and give you a jumping off point for where you can go and determine whether or not if this character is for you. There is lots of great discussions online that you can go find. I highly recommend you check them out. And remember, if you want to see more content like this, these shows cannot happen without the support of our patrons. You can check it out at patreon.com/AegisBrandStudios. $1 a month keeps this content coming. Allows me to expand further, do more content like this sort of stuff for you, in addition to the battle report. So thank you so much for all that support that you patrons provide. And of course, thank you so much for just clicking on this video and giving it a like and subscribe. Today, we are looking at the original core box Iron Man, Tony Stark, that came out back when Crisis Protocol first released, way back in 2019. Now, granted, he's had a bit of an update since that original release happened. So this is basically that updated Tony. So let's take a look at the model for Tony. And I mean, unfortunately, I always felt that this Tony was just a little dull with his design. There's not really a whole lot going on to him. It's a very classic Iron Man pose. Can't really complain about that. It's just it wasn't very exciting, but it is also a great benchmark to see just where AMG's designers have come from when you look at the modern day characters, especially anything from the Earth's Mightiest core set. Any of the characters that have gotten an update in that regard, they have learned a whole lot. We have much more dynamic models. They have much more flow to them. There's almost a fluidity to it, which I really like. And they've gotten a lot more creative with some of their poses, especially trying to mimic some of the more impressive comic book poses. So Iron Man, it was pretty easy to put together, especially given some of the more difficult core box models like Zemo, who had like lots of little bits on there. So no real complaints on that. Very easy to paint as well. I mean, he's got a very limited color palette. You can kind of play around a little bit with it. Like in this particular case, I did do the contrast with over a metallic route, because that was, it was kind of popular at the time, and it gives him a nice sort of like undershine to it. Tried to go for the sort of like that candy apple red, and then just wore it down a little bit with some washes and some silver. So very simple, very easy to paint. But yeah, so that is Iron Man. So what does he bring to the table? Well, right off the hop, you can see his stats. 433. He's got a great physical defense stat. He's got 5 stamina, 3 threat, 2 in size 2, and a medium base move. He's got 5 on both sides, so he's only got 10 stamina. So he doesn't have the highest stamina in the game, but he is still a very defensive character because of a superpower that he has later on. But very, very solid for a 3-threat character. This is his bread and butter. It's his repulsor blast. So it's a 4 dice, 4 power, range 4 attack, energy attack. It is a builder, which, I mean, if you've watched these shows, you know how I feel about 4 dice builders. I personally think that they should always be gainers, but that is neither here nor there. So we got a 4 dice builder, but it's got a wild push, and this push is any size. So he can push a Hulk, he can push a Sentinel. It does not matter. He can push them away. This is such a great utility piece at range 4. It is excellent. There is a reason why characters like Tony and Shuri got as much love as they did for as long as they did, because of pushes like this. Now, obviously, Shuri has lost the size on hers, but Tony has kept it, and it makes for a really nice control piece. Now, obviously, a wild on 4 dice is, I think, like a 49% chance or something like that, or 40% chance to hit that wild. So you can't bank on it, but when you're able to get it, if you have any sort of rerolls or dice modifications, it is a great tool to kind of keep people at bay. Next up, we got a physical attack. Homing rockets, range 5, 5 dice for 2 power. It ignores line of sight, and cover cannot be taken for it. It's also got a wild explosive, so other enemy characters within 2 of the target will suffer 1 damage if you happen to hit that wild. This attack is great for hunting down those characters that might be a little bit more difficult to pin down because they're hiding or they get cover or anything like that. It's not the most dice to it, but it's whenever you can ignore cover, or you can get someone who's hiding behind the line of sight. It's really nice. Or if you happen to be able to like get people who are really clumped up, being able to put on one unanswerable damage onto a character or two is really solid. So no complaints on this one. We got Friday AI. Now, this is something that kind of turns a lot of his kit on. It's an active ability. It's 2 power. During the next attack action made by this character this turn, add 2 dice to its attack rolls. It doesn't seem like much, because if you look at these attacks, I mean, okay, one becomes 6 dice, one becomes 7 dice. I mean, it's good. It starts costing a lot of power. Like, honestly, no real notes to it, but it really gets turned on with an ability he gets on his injured side here. Now, this also used to be, I think, 3 power, so this is one of those changes that happened to him that really made his kit a lot more usable. Next up, we got the Invincible Iron Man, which is a innate ability. Basically, it is damage reduction 1 down to suffered by 1 down to a minimum of 1. This is something that makes him really durable. It makes that 5 stamina go a lot further. It makes that 4 physical defense a lot harder to chew through if you only have physical attacks. He stays on the board a lot longer than he has any business to at times, which is really nice. And then, of course, he has Flight. When you flip over his card, though, you'll notice that there's a big change here, and that is he gets another attack. He gets an energy attack, Unibeam, Beam 5, 6 dice for 4 power. It ignores line of sight, and the targets do not get to benefit from cover. You pair this with Friday AI, all of a sudden you have an 8 dice beam attack that's ignoring line of sight, ignoring cover. It can get a lot of work done. It is like, it's not the best attack out there, but a beam 8 attack, and notice with Friday AI, it's the next attack action, so that extra 2 dice will go on to all of Unibeam. It won't just be the next attack. It can become really powerful. I mean, we've seen some other really strong beams out there. We all know how much we love Crimson Dynamo's 5 dice beam. I mean, this is a 6 dice beam. Yes, it is expensive at 4 power, especially if you're getting the Friday AI onto it. But if you're able to get a good beam in, this can be game changing for Iron Man. So that is what his card brings to the table. So where does he obviously like to live? Well, he's got a home in original Core Box Steve, where he's reducing the cost of Friday AI by 1 the first time he uses it every turn, which, I mean, is not to be discounted. That sort of discount is always really solid. Everyone kind of loves it. But he also has a really nice home in Shield, where he is also affiliated, because he brings a little bit of durability and a little bit of board control to a roster that doesn't have a lot of that. So he's really nice. He also brings the range, which, I mean, under the Shield gun line, which has been a very popular way to play them, he can really contribute while staying on some back points. Or you can be a little bit cagier with him and maybe try and take one of those more off to the side points and rely on his damage reduction to try and get him through a little bit. So he's got 2 really nice homes in those particular places. He's not terribly power hungry, so you don't really need to put him in places where he's going to be generating a lot of power. Unless, of course, your goal is to use a Helios laser, which is a card that came with Hulkbuster that any Tony Stark can use. Basically, you can pay X amount of power, and the whole team can pay it, and you can generate a massive range 5 energy attack where the power is equal to the damage is equal to the power spent +2. That has a great sweep and clear. It's an amazing attack, and it's stapled to most Tonys on there. Alternatively, he also has access to Stark Armory, which gives an extra attack die to all friendly allied characters within X range, X being the cost, the power cost you paid into out, so 1 through 5. So he's got some really good utility cards. Iron Man, just in every iteration, is a great support character, no matter how you slice it. So you can slot him into a lot of places and get some really good work with him. I think at 3-threat Iron Man, he makes a lot of interesting combinations, like threat combination squads, really kind of work. He's got that good durability, a little bit of control, and I mean, you can put some damage out with some of his attacks. Just don't rely on him to be the massive damage dealer. So that's Iron Man. Leave your comments below. Let us know where you think Iron Man lives these days and what you think about him. And of course, we will see you next time. Happy wargaming.